You know cardio is good for you. It helps you build overall fitness, not just of the hips and legs, but of the heart and lungs. Plus, it helps you regulate your body weight. So when is it safe to resume cardio when you've been recovering from back pain? And what's the best way to do it? Meaning, what types of exercise, how hard should you go, and for how long? I'm going to cover all that and more right after the disclaimer. Generally speaking, once you've begun to resume weight-bearing exercise, that is, exercises that require you to support your own body weight, like body weight squats or lunges or step-ups, even if they are very short in range of motion, then you're ready to resume cardio. Now, in the beginning, I want you to keep your intensity level, how hard you're working, low to moderate, which basically means you can talk, but you can't sing. Now, I'm about to go through several different types of cardiovascular exercise, and they're all great, but I want you to choose what you do based on two very specific factors. One is enjoyment. I want you to enjoy it, at least a little. And then two is you have to feel like it's not gonna hurt you. Now, that's by instinct as much as anything else, so make sure you listen to it. Walking is the most obvious place to start because it's available to pretty much everybody, everywhere. And in walking, you're not just using your hips and legs, because as you swing your arms and shoulders in the opposite direction of your hips and legs, you also get a little bit of core or abdominal stimulation as well. Now, if you're going to use walking as your cardio, you just want to make sure that key joints like your ankles, your hips, and your upper back are moving relatively freely and relatively evenly to prevent a relapse in your back pain. So to use walking, you're going to start with about 10 minutes a day, working up to 30 or 60 minutes a day by adding 1 to 2 minutes each week. The next exercise that I want to talk about is swimming or water walking. Now, depending on where you live and your access to a gym or a rec center that has a pool, swimming and water walking may be a little more difficult to access. But I don't have to tell you the benefits of water, including lowering the effects of gravity on your spine as you're in the water. So in other words, you're more buoyant, you weigh less, but also providing some resistance as you move through the water, either swimming or water walking. So that's a great form of exercise. And a lot like walking, you can probably tolerate 10 minutes in the beginning, and you can add a minute or two each week to work up to 30 or even 60 minutes of swimming or water walking. Next is the elliptical or cross trainer. Now, if you don't have one of these in your home, chances are your local gym or rec center has one you can use. Ellipticals are great because they mimic the movement pattern you use when you're walking, but without the impact. The only problem is that because it's a machine and it offers resistance, it tends to be much more intense than walking is. So for this one, I recommend starting out with 3 minutes and adding about half a minute or a minute each week to work up to 30 minutes or more. Now, when you start out on the elliptical, you may feel like you can't handle the moving arms as well as the moving legs. So you can just start by holding onto the console and gradually adding in the moving arms as you tolerate it. But it's a great form of exercise. Just remember, you want to start small on this one and add time as tolerated. Now, the last thing I want to cover is cycling. And if you didn't know it, I am a personal big fan of cycling. I love to ride my bike. However, when you've been recovering from back pain, that static position stretched over your road bike or mountain bike can be a little bit much for the lower back, and it can actually cause a lot of fatigue and discomfort. So if you want to use cycling as your cardio exercise, start in your gym or rec center with a stationary bike. Whether it's upright or recumbent, you just want to be on a bike that allows you to sit with your spine relatively neutral so that it doesn't fatigue as quickly. Now, even though you're in a more neutral position, because your trunk is going to be relatively still, you want to start small on this one as well. So start with about 3 minutes and gradually add half a minute to a minute each week as tolerated building up to 30 minutes or more on the bike. Once you can tolerate 30 minutes on the gym bike, either your upright or your recumbent, then you can start to go for short rides on your road or mountain bike. Just remember, if you start feeling fatigue in your back, it's time to get off and do something else. You may notice that I haven't mentioned running or rowing. Those activities are great forms of exercise, but it's best to start those after your back is completely pain-free and you have at least some baseline level of fitness, like from the activities I just discussed. You just want to make sure that your whole system, from the deep stabilizers of your lower back to all the working muscles, are ready for the type of challenge that rowing or running are going to bring, so that you don't re-injure your back. Now, if you found this helpful, which I hope you did, please go ahead and click the link in the description below to save your seat for my next free live online workshop, where I can teach you more about how gentle exercise and movement can help you recover from back pain as well. Save your seat, and I'll see you there.